This thief blindfolded, a standard yoga move to perfectly avoid the red line. Then she used her strong memory and solid dance skills, little by little threw all the complex red line to the end of the successful mask. But her companion Mike reminded her not to be too happy. This is just a simulation. The real exercise is much more difficult than this. That's right. This pair of male and female thieves have their eyes on a $500 million antique mask. From studying the structure of the showroom to making their own rubber bombs to complete the precise blast to calculate the time required for each step, the final step is the most difficult. Jones needed to pass through an infrared net invisible to the naked eye within 3 minutes. After practicing countless times, he finally succeeded. Then the action began. The two men arrived at the museum early to set the scene. First with the exhibition hall clock accurate time, then determine the location of the blast by foot measurements. Finally Mike pretended to Jones to sort out clothes. Quietly put down a locator. When the exhibition is over, 2 people to the museum's underground river. Then dive into the water and push through the guardrail to the exhibition hall directly below. According to the locator to lock the location of the mask. Then determine the location of the blasting point to stick for rubber bombs and start the countdown. They plan to use the clock at 12 o'clock as cover to blow up the floor. 3, 2, 1, and 2 and 4. The 5th time the airbag opened. The 7th time the bottom of the slab successfully fell off. The 12th time the top floor was perfectly separated. And then Mike set the infrared detector, and Jones chewed a piece of gum and went to work. At this point the security guards should also patrol. Only 33 minutes left for Jones. Mike looked at the TV and acted as Jones' eyes, directing her step by step to avoid the infrared. Several sets of difficult movements down to the mask successfully. But Jones was just about to do it when Mike shouted to stop. Because Jones blocked the infrared, Mike is not sure there is no front. At this point Jones took out a box of ash and blow hard. Succeeded in finding the last wire. Enter the code has long been cracked. Glass cover instantly open. The next is the most critical step to take the mask. But there is a gravity sensor below. Directly take away will certainly trigger the alarm. And at this time only 10 seconds left. She wants to steal this mask, but there's a gravity sensor under the mask. The slightest mistake will set off the alarm. Jones slowly reached in with the knife. First pressed the sensor to successfully remove the mask. Then take out the mouth gum sticky sensors. And then run away. And at this time the security guard also arrived at the exhibition hall. Came to the door and looked confused. The mask has turned into a gorilla. He immediately set off the alarm, but it was too late. Jones had already escaped. She looked pleased with herself and gave the mask to Mike. She was about to get into the boat when Mike suddenly flipped out. He pushed her into the water. It turns out that Mike found out the real identity of Jones. She is not a thief at all, but an employee of the insurance company, because the artworks insured by their company are always stolen one after another. Jones suspected the art thief Mike's head, because every time beforehand can see his figure. But the strange thing is that they never found any evidence, so Jones took the initiative to lure Mike out, offer to work with him to steal the mask to trap him. But what Jones did not know was, every time she talked to her boss on the phone to report on the work of Mike has been listening to. In the face of Mike's questioning, Jones explained that he was a thief in the insurance company to work just to get more information about the treasure. Next she has a much bigger deal that needs Mike's help. If she succeeded, she could make $8 billion. Mike was instantly impressed and believed Jones for the time being. Then the two came to Kuala Lumpur, see the Twin Towers across the street. This time the target is the tower of an international settlement bank. At the time of the millennium, the bank will shut down the mainframe for 30 seconds before 0 o'clock to upgrade the system. And Jones intended to use these 30 seconds to hack the system to steal $8 billion. However, in order to access the bank's computer room requires 2 conditions. First, the president's retina. This simple. Jones directly sent someone to the governor's eyes. Sprayed things. The governor was so scared that he rushed to the hospital to check his eyes. And in the process of examination of the retina was copied by them. Second, the bank is located in the 86th floor. Passcard. This requires Jones to use the stolen mask to exchange with the local Big Brother. Next is the official action. This pair of male and female thieves is quite special. The man is 69 and the woman is 26. Now they are going to the bank to steal $80 million. But I didn't realize that every move they made was under police surveillance. It turns out that Jones's boss called the police. He has long suspected that Jones betrayed him, so personally come to arrest people. But Mike seems to anticipate all this. The elevator reached the 70th floor floor when the two calmly out of the elevator. Mike looked at his watch and the time was up. The two men returned to the elevator. It turns out that the elevator's surveillance has been tampered with by Mike. He installed a timer to set the time to 11:50. As soon as the time came, the security camera immediately freeze. Just when everyone thought they were on the 70th floor, the two men had already inserted the pass card to the 86th floor where the bank is located. Of course the surveillance on this floor was also frozen. Mike first took out the detector and found a danger ahead. Jones rushed to open 2 bottles of spray. Sure enough, a strip of lasers showed up. Mike held Jones from behind. The two of them in the gap between the laser appeared in the lower corner of the safe passage step by step. Come to the door with a fingerprint swipe, the code will appear. Fortunately, the two Chinese could immediately analyze the order is not to use the gun to hit the text. Sure enough, the door opened. 2 people quickly into the machine room. Jones put on a good copy of the retina. Take out the machine to scan the successful start of the control center. At this point, the system shutdown time is still 20 seconds. Mike rushed out the computer. In the system shutdown moment began to plug in. The system successfully hacked into the system. Jones a series of operations and pressed the enter key. So while everyone celebrates the arrival of the millennium, the pair of male and female thieves on the account of the additional 8 billion. What a joyous occasion. At the last minute Jones pulled the wrong wire and set off the alarm. The bank door immediately began to close. Fortunately, Mike used a stool to jam the door before the two were able to get out. But they just escaped into the elevator. Police stopped the elevator. Mike had to force open the elevator door and pull Jones out to escape. But they were soon spotted by the police across the street. The police shot a gas bomb. The two can only return to try to take the stairs, but there were also police on the stairs. Now there is only one last escape route. Suddenly Mike had a plan. He deliberately broke the monitor. Let the police think they want to escape through the escape route, but they did not expect to hold their breath and rushed into the gas. So the two escaped to the Twin Towers bridge location. According to Mike's contingency plan, the two men just need to do a tightrope walk for miles, reach the opposite vent to escape successfully. Who knew that walking on the wire suddenly broke? The two people directly to a 10,000 miles high swing. Desperate desire to live led them desperately to climb up, finally recovered their life. But suddenly a beam of light came. The police arrived in a helicopter, but the bosses ordered to catch them alive. So no one dared to shoot at them. They ran all the way to the vent. Mike took out a small parachute and tied it to Jones and let her go first, because the other parachute fell off while walking on the wire. Mike said he had a way to escape, and agreed with Jones to meet tomorrow morning at 6:30 train station. Finally left a kiss on Jones' shoulder and let her jump. The next day at 6:34 Jones but did not wait for Mike. Just when she was getting desperate, Mike appeared out of nowhere again. Jones excitedly jumped into his arms. But then a man appeared behind him. Was a police officer. He wanted to arrest Jones for grand larceny. Jones looked confused and asked Mike what happened. It turns out that Mike was arrested 2 years ago. He made a deal with the police. As long as he helps the police catch Jones will be free. Jones was devastated to hear that. The next second Mike slipped him an envelope with money and a visa so she could escape. It turns out that Mike did not betray her. At that moment a train came. Jones, as planned with a gun to hold Mike, successfully escaped into the car. Other police officers had to go to the next station to intercept. At this point, Mike pulled out a computer chip worth $20 million and gave it to the police. The police took the chip and left. Mike was the only one left at the station. He gave all the money to Jones. A lifetime of stealing and ending up with nothing. But is it really nothing? Another train came by. Jones looks up and stands across the street. Of course she would not leave Mike behind, because in the process of cooperation they have already unconsciously fallen in love with each other. When the train passed again, the two disappeared into the same place. Their next stop was South Africa.